You'd probably like me if you met me. Most people do. I'm Quiet Aoife at Mr. Toffee's Coffees, the 23-year-old barista who always remembers if you like extra foam and laughs just a little too shyly at bad jokes. I'm the girl with the clean, beige apartment that looks like a page from an IKEA catalog. Safe, predictable, and terminally boring. My boss thinks I'm saving up for a marketing degree or something. I just nod and let him think it. It's easier that way. This whole life, the coffee-stained apron, the polite smiles, the fake plant in my living room, it's not a life. It's a costume. It's the perfect camouflage. The real me doesn't clock in until I'm home. The door is double locked, and the only light in the room is my laptop screen. The real me lives in the hum of a hard drive and the click of a mouse. I got my first taste of it back in high school. I had this, friend is a strong word. She was one of those early influencers, the kind of girl who was popular just for existing. Perfect life, perfect hair, thousands of followers who adored her every post. I couldn't stand how easy it was for her. I was a nobody, the quiet girl in the back of the class. She was everything. So I did a little digging, just a few clicks. It was surprisingly easy, and I accidentally leaked her home address on some obscure fan forum. Watching her public meltdown was intoxicating. The tearful videos, the "I don't feel safe" posts, the sheer unfiltered panic from someone so perfect. It was like a drug. For the first time in my life, I felt powerful. I wasn't the invisible one anymore. I was the one pulling the strings, watching the puppet dance. I realized I could break things, and I realized I liked it. I've just refined the hobby since then. I'm a hunter. My hunting ground is the internet, specifically those low-traffic forums where the lonely ones, the weirdos, go to complain. The shy ones, the socially awkward, the ones who collect strange things or have opinions they're too afraid to share in the real world. They're so desperate for a connection, for someone to finally see them. I become their perfect friend. I listen, I validate, I learn their language. I'm the girl who gets them. And eventually, they send me things. Pictures, confessions, videos. Things they'd never want their mom or their boss or their wife to see. And then I switch. The thrill I get when they beg, when they promise me anything, when their whole world shrinks down to my inbox, that's the real me. I'm a predator. I know that. I love it. I love the control.
I had a perfect system. Meticulous. I'm not stupid. I'm not like those idiots who get caught. I use layered VPNs, burner accounts, untraceable crypto. I'm a ghost. No one could ever connect the ruthless blackmailer to Quiet Aoife. My camouflage is perfect. I am a god in this little digital world I built. That's what I thought, anyway. Until last night. I was logging in to check on a new friend I was grooming, a guy in Spring Valley. He's married, a little older, and collects disturbing dolls. He was this close to sending me a video he'd made, the one I knew would be worth at least a few $1,000s. But I had a new message from an account I'd never seen before, a string of random numbers. I almost deleted it as spam. It was just one line. "It's your turn to be seen, Aoife." And attached to the message was a picture. It wasn't one of my victims. It was me. sleeping in my bed. It was taken from the foot of my own bed, from inside my locked apartment. The timestamp said 2 minutes ago. My blood went cold. Not just cold, it felt like it turned to slush. I couldn't breathe. I wasn't sleeping. I was awake. I was sitting right here. How could a picture be timestamped 2 minutes ago? I stared at it. Me in my old gray t-shirt, mouth slightly open, hair a mess on the pillow. It was real. I recognized the pillowcase. It was from last night. They just faked the timestamp, right? They had to scare me, to throw me off. That's a classic move. I would know. I jumped up so fast, my chair fell over. I ran to the door. The deadbolt was thrown, the chain was on, exactly as I'd left it. I checked the 2 windows in my apartment, both locked, from the inside. I grabbed the heaviest knife for my kitchen block. I checked the closet, just my boring cardigans. I checked under the bed, dust. I ripped back the shower curtain, nothing. I was alone. I've always been alone. But the fear was so thick I could taste it like old pennies. The photo didn't come from someone in my apartment. It came from my laptop, the one I'm staring at right now. The one I use for everything, the camera I keep taped over. I'd looked at the laptop. The little piece of black electrical tape was still firmly in place over the webcam. So how?
I sat back down, my hand shaking. I tried to think. This is my world. I know how this works. Someone found my IP, spoofed my location. Maybe they hacked my phone. That had to be it. They got into my cloud storage. They found an old photo. That's all. It's just a scare tactic. I'm not a victim. I don't get to be the victim. I picked up my phone. It was on the charger, screen dark, nothing. I put the knife on the desk and put my hand on my mouse. I had to know who this was. I tried to click on the sender's profile, trace the message, anything. And my mouse cursor stopped. I was still pushing it, but the little white arrow was frozen. I tapped the mouse, nothing. I let go of the mouse. The cursor stayed still for a second, and then it moved. It wasn't a glitch. It wasn't lag. It moved smoothly, deliberately across my screen. My hand was 6 inches away from the mouse. I just watched. It moved up to my bookmarks bar. It hovered, then clicked. Show all history. My stomach dropped out. My real history, the one I clean meticulously every single night. But it was all there. The list populated, and the cursor began to scroll, slowly, past the coffee supply websites for work, past the bill pay portals, and then it just stopped right on the links to the forums, the ones I use, my hunting grounds. It hovered over a link to a user profile I'd been grooming, the Spring Valley guy. It was a person. A person was doing this right now on the other end, watching me watch them. They weren't just in my apartment, they were inside my computer, walking through my private life like they owned the place. They were touching my things. I literally screamed and slammed the laptop shut. I didn't just close it. I grabbed the whole thing, ran to the wall, and ripped the power adapter out. I hit the power button on my modem, killing the internet. The little green lights went dead. I sat there on the floor in the dark, my back against the wall, holding the warm, dead laptop. My heart felt like it was going to break through my ribs. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. This is what I do to other people. This is what it feels like. The helplessness, the violation. I hated it. I sat there for maybe an hour. The silence in the apartment was deafening. I had to know. I had to see the damage. I'm not a victim. I'm a predator. I can fight this. I rebooted my laptop, but I left the internet off. I was gonna go offline, dig through my own system files, find the Trojan or the rootkit they'd used. I'm careful, I'm smart. They must have left a trace. I spent hours. I ran every scan I had. I found nothing. Not a single file out of place. Not one corrupt line of code. It was clean. Impossible. Doubt started to creep in. Maybe it was a one-time thing. A warning shot. A rival. Maybe they got what they wanted and left. Maybe I was just panicking and they were already gone. There was only one way to know. I plugged the modem back in. I watched the lights blink. Blink. Green. I was online. I opened my laptop. Everything was quiet. The cursor was mine again. I moved it around. It obeyed. I waited. 5 minutes? 10. Nothing. I let out a shaky breath. Maybe it was over. Maybe I'd scared them off when I cut the power. I was in control again.
I opened my secure email, the one I use for business. A new message from the same account. It was sitting in my inbox, time-stamped 1 minute ago. Subject, your collection. I opened it. It was a list. Every single person. Not just the ones I was working on, all of them. My first one from 2 years ago, the guy in Spring Valley, even the influencer from high school, with a link to the original forum post I'd made. It had their names, the dates I'd contacted them, and file attachments labeled with their names. My blood ran cold again. I knew exactly what was in those files. My leverage, my trophies, my entire secret life, all neatly organized in an email. I scrolled to the bottom. There was a new message. We know you're reading this, Aoife. We start sending these to their families, their jobs, and the police at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Unless you're ready to play. And then from across the room, on my desk, click. I looked over. The little green light on my laptop's webcam, the one buried under a thick piece of tape, was on. It was shining through the tape. A faint, sickening green glow. I didn't scream. I think I brought how. I just stared at that tiny, glowing green dot. It was impossible. I scrambled backward, falling off my chair. I had to get out of my apartment. This wasn't my command center anymore. It was a cage. I grabbed my keys, grabbed my phone. I fumbled with the deadbolt, and then I heard it. Click. Not from my laptop, from my smart lock on my front door. The one my landlord installed, the one I hated but thought was secure. A soft whirring sound. I watched, frozen, as the deadbolt knob turned all by itself, sliding the bolt open and then sliding it shut again. Click. Locked. I was locked in. I looked at my phone. No service. In the middle of the city? Bullshit. They'd cut me off from everything. I was trapped. I turned back to the laptop. The screen wasn't on my email anymore. It was my desktop. My clean, beige, camouflage desktop. And the cursor was back. It moved to the center of the screen. It right-clicked. New folder. It watched it type EVIDENCE. My stomach heaved. This wasn't just blackmail. This was the prosecution. This was the trial. The cursor opened a new text pile. It typed fast, like a court stenographer. You like games, Aoife?
so we'll play one. But you're not the hunter anymore. A new line. Ezra88 asked you to stop. You told him, pay me 5 ETH or your wife sees the video. My blood froze. That was months ago. How? Ezra88 was my brother. He didn't have 5 ETH. He had a 2-year-old daughter. He killed himself last week. No, I didn't know. You can't. He made a choice. I just showed him the options. My voice sounded pathetic, even to me. The cursor didn't stop. It's 9 a.m. I was locked out. I pounded on the keyboard, the mouse, nothing. The cursor moved on its own. It opened my other email, my real email, the Quiet Aoife one. It composed a noon message. It attached the EBIDZ folder. And then the to field. I watched, paralyzed, as it populated the list. My mom's email, my boss at Mr. Toffee's Coffees, the entire coffee shop customer mailing list, my high school alumni group, and then, one by one, the email addresses of every victim I had ever contacted. No, I whispered at the screen. Please, I'll give it all back. I'll do anything. Please don't. I was begging, just like they begged me. The hypocrisy tasted like acid in my throat. The cursor just hovered over the send button. It waited for 1 second, 2, 3, letting me feel it, letting me understand what total loss of control felt like. And it clicked.
For a second, there was silence, just the hum of the PC. And then, my phone. It lit up. Not with one notification, with all of them. It started vibrating on the floor, buzzing and skittering like a dying insect. My mom, my boss, my old high school friend, the guy from Spring Valley, messages of pure, unfiltered disgust, of horror, of what did you do? My whole life, my 2 lives, collapsing into one giant burning pile of filth. The me everyone knew was gone. The real me was all they could see. A new message appeared on the laptop screen, the last one. Now they all see you. And then, faint at first, but getting closer, I heard it. The wail of a siren. They didn't just email my victims, they emailed the police. I didn't even try to run. Where would I go? I just sat on the floor of my perfect beige apartment. The camouflage was gone. It's funny. I spent my whole life terrified of being seen, of people knowing I wasn't Quiet Aoife. I thought the power was in the secret, in the control. I was wrong. The power was always in the exposure. I just wasn't the one holding the switch. The sirens are outside my door now. I can hear them. I can hear boots in the hallway, someone pounding on the door. I'm not a predator. I'm not even a victim. I'm just evidence.
Thank you so much for watching or listening. The things that go bump in the night are hungry for attention. By liking and subscribing, you're telling me you want more. You're helping me bring even more chilling tales and terrifying content to life.